It started on a Saturday evening, the kind where the air buzzed with possibility and the sky wore its golden hour like a favorite coat. Hannah Monroe had spent hours preparing for the night, not because she had anything to prove to anyone, but because she hadn't felt like herself in weeks. Her career at the marketing firm had consumed every spare second, and for once, she wanted to shine just for herself. She picked a deep burgundy dress that hugged her curves, shimmered slightly in the light, and left just enough to the imagination. Her best friend, Ava, had convinced her to wear it. "It's not too much," Ava had said, adjusting the strap on her shoulder. "It's exactly enough." Hannah had stared at herself in the mirror, debating it for a moment before agreeing. The dress made her feel alive. After years of playing it safe, blending in, and muting herself to make others comfortable, she needed this. Confidence didn't always come naturally, but tonight, she was going to fake it until it did. The event was a semi-formal charity dinner, hosted at one of the upscale hotels downtown. Hannah had been invited by her colleague, Bryan, who had become something of a close friend over the past year. He was charming in a reserved, slightly sarcastic kind of way, the kind of guy who you never quite figured out. Bryan was the kind of man who dressed in well-fitted suits but kept his emotions buttoned tighter than his collar. When Hannah arrived, the place was already buzzing. Waiters glided across the marble floors with trays of champagne, and the string quartet filled the space with elegant melodies. Her heels clicked against the tile as she entered, turning more than a few heads. She wasn't used to that kind of attention, and for a moment, it made her want to retreat. But then she saw Bryan across the room, holding 2 glasses and scanning the crowd. Their eyes met, and he smiled. "Wow," he said, handing her a glass. "You definitely went all out." Hannah tilted her head. "Is that your way of saying I look nice, or that I overdid it?" Bryan chuckled, glancing at her dress again. "I mean, your dress is doing a lot." Her smile faltered. "Too much." He took a sip and looked away. "I just didn't expect it, that's all." Hannah felt her confidence wobble, like a vase placed too close to the edge of a table. She'd spent all evening building herself up, only to be knocked off balance by a 5-word sentence. She wasn't sure whether he meant it as a compliment or a critique. And something about the way he said it, like her boldness, made him uncomfortable, bothered her more than she admitted. They mingled for a while, making small talk with other guests, but the comment stuck with her. It echoed in her mind between conversations and bites of hors d'oeuvres. When Bryan introduced her to his friend Cameron, a handsome attorney with a warm smile, she couldn't help but notice how Cameron's eyes lingered on her with admiration, not judgment. "You look stunning," Cameron said casually, then leaned in. "Just had to say it. That dress is kind of unforgettable." Hannah laughed, feeling the warmth of validation settle over her shoulders like a shawl. For a while, she forgot Bryan's words. Later in the evening, Bryan found her near the terrace. The sun had dipped below the skyline, and the city lights had taken over. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," she said, turning to face him. "Why? You seem different tonight." "Maybe I am," she said. "Or maybe I'm just not trying to be who you expect me to be." He looked taken aback. "Is this about what I said earlier?" "You tell me," she replied. "Was it a compliment? Or were you uncomfortable because I wasn't being the safe version of me you're used to?" Bryan looked away, exhaling slowly. "It wasn't meant to hurt. I guess. I just wasn't ready for you to show up looking like that." "Like what?" she challenged. "Like someone who knows how incredible she is." For a moment, the tension hung between them like a taut rope. Then Hannah stepped back, placing her glass on the railing. "You don't have to be ready for it. I didn't wear this dress for you." Bryan swallowed. "Then who?" "For me." She walked back into the ballroom, unsure if he'd follow. She didn't look back. The rest of the night flew by, and though Bryan remained at a distance, Cameron wasn't shy about seeking her company. They danced twice, exchanged numbers, and by the end of the night, Hannah had laughed more than she had in months. But the moment she stepped into her apartment and closed the door behind her, the quiet returned, and with it, a cascade of mixed emotions. Part of her still cared about what Bryan thought. Part of her wanted to call Ava and ask if she had, in fact, gone too far. But a louder part of her, one she was just starting to trust, whispered that she had done nothing wrong. The next few days at work were strangely quiet between her and Bryan. They exchanged polite greetings, shared the occasional meeting, but something had shifted. She noticed how he watched her when he thought she wasn't looking. She noticed how his posture stiffened when Cameron's name came up. And then, one afternoon, he showed up at her desk. "Can we talk?" he asked. She nodded and followed him to the small conference room where they sometimes held brainstorming sessions. He closed the door behind them and leaned against the table. "I've been thinking about what I said," he began. "And I realized something. I wasn't judging you, Hannah. I was projecting." She raised an eyebrow. "Projecting what?" "My fear. Of change. Of you becoming someone I might lose because I've been too slow to recognize what's right in front of me." She blinked. "Bryan. No, let me say this. You looked beautiful that night. More than that, you looked free. And that scared me. Because I realized I've been playing it safe with you. I've been trying to keep you in this comfortable box, when the truth is, you were never meant to be contained." There was a long silence, broken only by the soft hum of the overhead lights. Then she asked, "So what do you want?" He stepped closer. "I want to get to know this version of you. The bold one. The fearless one. The one who wore that dress and didn't care what anyone thought." Her heart beat faster. She wasn't sure what she expected from him, but this wasn't it. "I'm not changing for you," she said. "I don't want you to," he replied. "I want you exactly as you are." She hesitated, studying his face for any hint of insincerity. But for once, he looked completely open, vulnerable even. And maybe that was what she needed to see. They left the room without another word, but something was different now. The air between them felt lighter. Over the next few weeks, Bryan began to show more of himself. The good, the awkward, the funny. He asked her to lunch, listened more, interrupted less. He stopped trying to figure her out and started just enjoying her company. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Eventually, Hannah invited him to a small gathering Ava was hosting. She wore another dress that made her feel powerful, this time a midnight blue with a subtle slit. When Bryan saw her, he smiled but didn't say anything right away. Finally, as they stood side by side in the kitchen, he whispered, "For the record, your dress is doing exactly enough." She laughed. "Thanks. I'll take that." That night, as they sat on Ava's balcony, sharing stories under the stars, Hannah realized something. Confidence wasn't about never doubting yourself. It was about standing tall even when others do.